He saw me by the window, and the very next day, he was bragging to my brother's friends that he saw me naked. I didn't even know what he had done until I walked into a room and saw their faces change. That moment shattered something in me and changed the way I saw him forever. This isn't a made-up drama. It's a real story.
Meaning?
And I want to know, what would you have done if it were you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk. Let's heal. Let's tell the truth. I don't know if it was the heat that made me pull back the curtains that day, or the weight of 1,000 unspoken feelings clouding my judgment. But the moment I opened that window, everything started to spiral. Michael was outside. Of course he was. He was always around, hovering in that confusing space between being my brother's friend and something more. We'd never officially been anything, but the way his eyes lingered on mine, the way he talked to me when no one was around, it was enough to blur the lines. I thought I could trust him. I was in my room. I didn't think much of it. I had just come out of the shower, my towel loosely draped, the window cracked open to let the breeze in. I didn't even realize he was standing in the compound, looking up. He saw me, but instead of turning away, instead of showing respect or even embarrassment, he smirked. I remember that smirk like a scar, the kind that doesn't fade no matter how much time passes. Later that evening, I was sitting in the living room pretending to scroll through my phone, but my mind was unsettled. That's when I heard it, voices drifting in from the backyard. Michael, laughing.
Loud.
Too loud. I swear, I saw everything. She didn't even know. Bro, her towel slipped a bit. I froze. My heart slammed against my chest as the realization sank in.
He was talking about me.
Laughing about me. Bragging. And worse, he wasn't alone. His friends were with him. The same boys who had grown up playing soccer in our compound, sharing meals, crashing birthdays. My brother's friends. My brother's voice cut through the air like a blade. Michael, what the hell did you just say? And just like that, the world cracked open beneath my feet. Michael stammered, caught mid-sentence, but the damage was done. My brother's face went dark, his jaw clenched like I'd never seen before. And for a moment, there was nothing but silence, heavy and awkward, as the boys realized they'd just crossed a line they couldn't uncross. Are you out of your mind? My brother barked. That's my sister, Michael. What's wrong with you? Michael tried to laugh it off. It's not that deep, bro. I was just playing. But no one was laughing. His friends looked away, visibly uncomfortable. One of them even muttered, "Man, that's not cool. You shouldn't have said that." I was behind the wall listening, shaking. I didn't know what burned more, the embarrassment of being spoken about like that, or the betrayal of it coming from him. Michael, the guy I had quietly grown to trust, to like, even if I never admitted it. And the worst part, he didn't defend me. He didn't even seem sorry. My brother stepped forward, chest rising and falling fast. You ever talk about her like that again, and we're done. I don't care how long we've been boys. The air grew thick with tension. Michael shrugged, like the whole thing was beneath him. That cocky, careless attitude I used to find charming suddenly looked ugly. Filthy. Cruel. The group dispersed soon after. Awkward goodbyes and fake laughter covering the cracks. But the damage was already permanent. I went back into my room and locked the door behind me. Then I sat on the floor and cried, not because I was exposed, but because I finally saw Michael for who he truly was. And maybe, just maybe, it hurt so much because a part of me had really hoped he was different. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Michael's face. That smirk, that tone in his voice. That moment I realized the boy I thought I liked had used me like a punchline in some locker room joke. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I too friendly? Too naive? Too trusting? But deep down, I knew the truth. I did nothing wrong. He was just the kind of guy who thought getting close to a girl meant he owned a piece of her. Like kindness was an invitation. Like vulnerability was a game. The next morning, I braced myself. My brother barely said a word to me. I could tell he was still angry, more at Michael than at me, but the tension was real. He was trying to protect me without even knowing how broken I already felt. I checked my phone, expecting maybe an apology. A message from Michael. A "Hey, can we talk?" Anything to show he regretted it. But there was nothing. No text. No call.
No guilt.
Instead, I saw a few Instagram stories. A blurry snap of him and the boys playing FIFA. Laughter.
Beer.
Vibes. Like nothing had happened. Like I was the one being dramatic for feeling anything at all. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, someone messaged me. "Hey, I heard what happened. Are you okay?" My stomach dropped. It had spread. Michael didn't just tell his friends. The story was out there. Probably bent, twisted, turned into something uglier than the truth. And no one was stopping it. Not even him. That day, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I wasn't going to wait for him to feel bad. I was going to make sure he remembered this as the day he lost something real. The next few days felt like walking through a minefield. I avoided the common areas. Skipped meals just to stay in my room. Took longer routes through the compound just to avoid bumping into him. I didn't want to see his face. Not because I was scared, but because I knew if I did, I wouldn't know whether to scream or cry. But avoidance only works when life lets you breathe. And life had other plans. It happened on a random Thursday. I was heading out with my headphones in, hoodie up, minding my business. I turned the corner near the gate and boom, there he was. Michael, leaning against the wall like he owned it. For a second, we both froze. Then he gave me this small, sheepish smile. Like we were still cool. Like he hadn't humiliated me in front of everyone who mattered. "Hey," he said, voice low, like he was easing into a joke. Been a minute. I didn't respond. Just looked at him like he was a stranger on the street. Because in my heart, that's exactly what he'd become. "You've been quiet," he added, chuckling nervously. "You mad at me or something?"
Mad?
The audacity made my blood boil. I pulled my headphones down slowly. "You think this is funny, don't you?" His smile faltered. "Look, I didn't mean for it to blow up. The guys were just joking around." "You started it," I snapped. "You made me a joke." He blinked, caught off guard by my tone. "Okay, maybe I went too far." "Too far," I scoffed. "You saw me in a private moment and ran your mouth like a child showing off a trophy. You turned my body into gossip. You violated me." For a second, there was a flicker of guilt in his eyes. But it was too late. "You can't take it back now, Michael," I said quietly. "Whatever we had or could have had died that day. And the worst part? I don't even think you care." I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't look back. That confrontation should have been the end. But somehow it wasn't. Because even after I walked away, the whispers didn't stop. People didn't forget. Some looked at me with pity, others with curiosity, like I was some character in a story Michael got to narrate first. The damage wasn't just emotional, it was social. He'd tainted me. And the worst part? He still acted like nothing happened. He still came around, still hung out with my brother and the boys, still posted dumb selfies and gym thirst traps like he was God's gift to women.
No shame. No remorse. No accountability.
But I wasn't the same girl anymore. I stopped hiding. I showed up. Chin high, face bare, unapologetic. Not because I wasn't hurting, but because I refused to let his story define me. I became colder, sharper. I started speaking less and watching more. And as I did, I noticed things. How Michael would glance at me when he thought I wasn't looking. How he seemed quieter when I walked into the room. How his laughter didn't quite reach his eyes anymore.
Good.
Let it haunt him. Because while he was busy being the center of attention, I was busy rewriting the script. I stopped caring what people thought. I started spending time with people who actually respected me. And slowly, something surprising happened. People stopped talking about what happened and started noticing how I handled it. One of Michael's own friends, someone who had laughed that day, messaged me privately.
"Hey.
I'm really sorry for how Michael acted. You didn't deserve that." I didn't reply, but I smiled. Because little by little the story was changing. And Michael? He wasn't the main character anymore. It happened on a weekend. My brother threw a casual hangout at the house. Nothing major, just games, music, small chops. The usual circle came through, including Michael, of course. I wasn't planning to mingle, but something in me said, show up. Not for him, for you.
So I did.
Fresh braids, clean skin, no makeup, just vibes. And the moment I walked into the room, everyone noticed. Conversation stalled. Heads turned. I saw Michael freeze mid-laugh, eyes trailing me like he was seeing me for the first time. It felt powerful. I didn't speak to him.
Didn't even look his way.
But I knew he was watching. The entire night, I could feel his stare from across the room. He wanted to say something. Apologize? Explain? Reclaim whatever version of me he thought he knew? But I wasn't his anymore. Not even in memory. Then something wild happened. A girl I didn't know too well, pretty, flirty, clearly crushing on Michael, spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Is it true what you told the guys about her that day? She asked, giggling like it was funny. Silence. Everyone turned to look at him. Even my brother. Michael looked like he'd swallowed a cactus. Nah, it was just a joke, he mumbled, eyes dropping to his drink. The girl blinked. But you said you saw her naked, right? And you were bragging about it like... I said it was a joke, he snapped, louder this time. Defensive. Embarrassed. And just like that, the room shifted. The laughter stopped. His charm cracked. People started whispering not about me, but him. About how immature he was. About how weird it was to boast about something so private. About how he was never really that deep to begin with. My brother stood up. Enough, he said. This isn't the time or place. And Michael? Michael sat down, shoulders stiff, finally realizing what it felt like to be exposed. After that night, I didn't need to say or do anything. Michael's downfall came all on its own. His charm started wearing off. People weren't laughing at his jokes like they used to. His Instagram captions that once got flooded with comments? Now, barely a double-digit reaction. The same boys who once hyped him up began keeping their distance. And me? I was glowing. Quietly, steadily, without trying. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about evolution. One day, I bumped into one of Michael's closest friends at a cafe near campus. We weren't tight, but he always nodded when he saw me. That day, though, he stopped to talk. You know, he said, stirring his drink slowly, he really messed up with you. I looked up, surprised. He liked you, you know. But he didn't know how to act, he continued. That whole thing, the bragging, the way he handled it, it wasn't just wrong. It was stupid. I stayed silent. He talks about you still, he added, more quietly this time. Like he wishes he could take it back. I gave a small shrug. Some mistakes you don't get to fix. And that was the truth. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't broken. But I'd learned something huge. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Michael didn't ruin me. He revealed himself. And I was finally grateful he did it early, before I gave him more of me to break. That night, I posted a picture. No caption. Just me. Standing by the same window where it all started, but this time fully dressed, fully healed, fully unfazed. And guess who liked it first? Michael.
Of course he did.
But I didn't like it back. Weeks passed. Michael still hadn't said anything to me directly. No call. No text. Just quiet stares, occasional likes, and a few awkward run-ins that he tried to smooth over with small talk I ignored. At first, I waited for an apology. Not because I needed it, but because he owed me one. It was basic decency. But the more time passed, the more I realized something heartbreaking and freeing. Some people will never say sorry. Not because they're not wrong, but because their ego won't let them admit it. And Michael?
He was one of those people.
Still, the universe has a funny way of making things right. I heard through my brother, who heard it from a friend of a friend, that Michael had started losing connections. People were side-eyeing him. Girls didn't flirt with him like before. And one of his close friends even told him outright, "Bro, you're not as respected as you used to be." I didn't dance on his downfall. I just smiled. Because I was no longer hoping for closure. I was the closure. I'd picked up the pieces, rebuilt my peace, and found a new kind of strength that didn't need validation. One day, I passed by him while heading out. He was sitting alone near the stairs, scrolling through his phone. When he looked up and saw me, our eyes met. For once, he looked away first. That was it. No drama, no fight, just a quiet shift in power. I wasn't angry anymore.
Just done.
Done hoping he'd grow up. Done mourning who I thought he was. Done making space in my heart for someone who didn't know how to handle the softness I offered. And honestly, that silence was louder than any apology he could have given.
Sometimes I still think about that day.
Not with anger, not with shame, but with this strange kind of clarity. Like I'm watching a movie I've already outgrown. The girl by the window, the laughter, the betrayal. It used to haunt me. Now it just teaches me. Because Michael? He wasn't just a boy I liked. He was a mirror. A lesson. A warning. He showed me how much it hurts to be vulnerable with someone who hasn't earned it. How dangerous it is to assume silence equals safety. How the people you trust the most can sometimes be the ones who stain your story the deepest. But he also showed me. The version of me that refuses to shrink after being broken. The version that stands taller, speaks softer, but carries fire behind her eyes. The version that doesn't need revenge, because her growth is the revenge. I started writing again. Not about him, but about truth, self-worth, and healing. I posted small pieces online. Nothing major. But the responses? Heartfelt.
Real.
I realized that my story, my pain, had the power to help other girls stop blaming themselves. Girls who were shamed. Girls who were silenced. Girls who were laughed at for things that weren't even their fault. And suddenly, I wasn't alone anymore. I was part of something bigger. Michael may never understand what he did. He may never say sorry. But that's okay. Because I turned the mess he made into a message. And I'd do it all again, if it meant finding the strength I have now. I didn't get the apology.
But I got me.
And that's more than enough. Looking back now, I smile, not because it was funny, but because I survived. I didn't lose anything that wasn't already shaking. What I thought was love was just attention dressed up in ego. What I thought was trust was simply convenience until it wasn't. And Michael? He was just a chapter. Not the story. Not even the villain. Just a flawed boy in someone else's journey of becoming. I don't hate him. I don't wish him pain. I just hope he grows, privately, quietly like I had to. Because truth is, healing didn't come with a loud announcement. It came slowly in pieces. In learning to take up space again, without shrinking. In saying no and not explaining why. In holding my head high when the room knew my name and still chose to whisper. I've moved on not just from him, but from the version of me that needed him to choose me in the first place. That girl is gone. In her place, a woman who knows that being seen isn't the same as being valued. A woman who knows that silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's protection. And a woman who doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. So no, I don't regret that day by the window. Because the boy who bragged about seeing me in my most vulnerable moment, he's now stuck with the memory of a girl he can no longer touch, while I walk free, healed, wiser, and no longer looking back. This isn't his story anymore. It's mine. And it's just getting started.